Oh, this should be funny. Here, there's some more news about that show going around right now. I don't know exactly what it is, but I saw it while I was doom scrolling. Oh, boy. Go over and follow the Critical Drinker. Tell him Tyrone Magnus sent you.
Let's be honest here, we've all done things we'd rather forget. Like, there was this one night in Aberdeen when we were drinking pints of Advocat, and my mate Neil somehow managed to get with a midget stripper at one end and ridiculous amounts of coleslaw. And he's like, shoot him, you idiot. Honestly thought we'd never get that whole dug, man. Wait, you're gonna edit that stuff out later, right? Okay, good. Anyway, what the hell was I talking about? Oh yeah, stuff we'd rather forget. And when it comes to Marvel, there's one show in particular they'd much rather we all forgot. And that show is She-Hulk, Attorney at Law.
Yeah.
I mean, who can blame them, really?
To tell you the truth, I've already forgotten. But I'll never forget what you did. I don't want to remember that show. Plus, you're trashing the fans in that. And the show was trash. So, yeah, it didn't work out for you.
It was an absolutely disastrous attempt at a legal comedy with feminist overtones made by people with no understanding of the legal system who are to comedy what the quartering is to personal integrity. But hey, at least it got those all-important feminist talking points in there, right?
Well, here's the thing, Bruce. I'm great at controlling my anger.
Oh, shut up, you tart!
I do it pretty much every day because if I don't, I will get called.
See how I forgot? I was good at pushing it to the back of my mind. And the longer it went,
emotional.
You are a wally, you really are.
Or difficult, or might just literally get murdered.
You give my arse an headache.
So I'm an expert at controlling my anger because I do
Here
it
it comes.
infinitely more than you.
Oh, shut up, you tart.
It was a show that set out to preemptively attack its own fan base for not liking it, on the genius assumption that they would dislike it for attacking its fan base, thus creating a perfect feedback loop of retarded self-destruction. As it turns out, though, it didn't pay off for them, and the show was so wildly unpopular that Marvel had to specifically step in and announce its cancellation. Oh no! What happened? It was to the MCU what the Acolyte would be to Star Wars a couple of years later. And it was kind of hilarious to see such a spitefully self-righteous piece of shit get tossed onto the ash heap of history where it belongs. But you might be asking yourself, how the hell was this even allowed to happen? How could Marvel and Kevin Feige, who'd spent more than a decade turning the MCU into a finely tuned money-printing machine, have...
Well, we already know that they were kind of well into woken everything up when they did this, so we know how it happened. They were all in it.
permitted such an embarrassing disaster to unfold? Well, the answer came courtesy of...
They've been embarrassing themselves, so it's kind of like it was in line with what they were continuing to do.
Of author Daniel Friedman, who lifted the lid on the backstage conflicts, clashing egos, and insane decision-making behind She-Hulk. And because I do enjoy me a bit of schadenfreude once in a while, let us go on this journey of discovery together, shall we? To properly understand how the She-Hulk disaster started, you have to go back to 2017 with the release of the Rick and Morty episode, Pickle Rick. Remember when Rick and Morty was this smart, funny, edgy show that people liked? That was a good time, I like that. Anyway, the lead writer on this episode was Jessica Gau, who pitched a bit of a hissy fit when showrunner Dan Harmon cast Susan Sarandon to voice the character of Dr. Wong. Because everyone knows that two Wongs don't make a right. Anyway, because this was 2017 and the entire world had lost its fucking mind when it came to this kind of stuff, she was able to browbeat Harmon into doing a podcast series with her called Whiting Wongs. It was basically a multi-episode struggle session where Harmon had to sit there and listen to Gau bang on about the usual laundry list of late 2010s social justice grievances, and it's a pretty impressive example of how retarded the world had become by that point. This absolute nobody was able to strong-arm one of the biggest showrunners of the industry onto a podcast and berate him for hours on end just by invoking the magic R words. awesome. Anyway, the episode and the podcast put Gau on the radar, and pretty soon she came to the attention of Kevin Feige. Feige, under mounting pressure, had recently made a public commitment to involve more women in the MCU, both in front of and behind the camera, and Gau seemed like the perfect fit to front the new She-Hulk show that he was planning. She was a woman, she was ethnically diverse, and she'd written an award-winning episode of Rick and Morty, which even Feige vaguely understood was popular amongst humans. Great stuff. What could possibly go wrong? So it soon became obvious to everyone involved that Gau didn't have a fucking clue what she was doing. She'd promised to create Ally McBeal for the MCU. The only problem is, nobody on her hand-picked team of retards knew anything about lawyers, court procedures, or legal terminology, and she didn't think to hire any consultants to help them. The result? Absolutely disastrous test screenings, forcing Kevin Feige to descend from the golden throne himself and directly intervene in the production, desperately trying to unfuck her mistakes. Naturally, the relationship with Gau soured quickly, but it was the finale that finally pushed Kevin over the edge. Gau wanted She-Hulk to break out of the show itself and confront Kevin, the giant robotic AI that runs the MCU, and demand a better ending for herself. It was a not-so-subtle dig at the formulaic, robotic nature of what the MCU had become. I mean, she wasn't wrong either. Feige was willing to be a good sport and take the hit, but that wasn't enough for Gau. She wanted to put a baseball cap on the robot to really drive the point home. A cap just like the one that Feige always wears because he's a bald man, and a hat lets him pretend that he's still got hair or something. This apparently was a bridge too far for old Kevin, though, who refused to let her do it, and the feud escalated to the point where Gau actually handed in her resignation in what I can only describe as the worst case of attempted big leaguing I've ever seen.
No way.
And Kevin was like, fine, see you later then, bitch.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton.
No way she left because he wouldn't let her put a hat on the robot. This is like a joke, right?
If it pays off for him.
Fucking Christ, these are grown adults we're talking about here, willing to kill careers over a baseball cap.
Wow.
Truly, if you play social justice games, you win social justice prizes.
Okay.
And the only prize Kevin had won with this one was a gigantic pain in the arse. Anyway, disaster was only averted when a special effects designer managed to put a piece of metal on the robot that looked vaguely like a hat, thus satisfying the honour of both sides. For Gau, though, it was designer social justice prizes, and the only prize Kevin had won with this one was a gigantic pain in the arse. Anyway, disaster was only averted when a special effects designer managed to put a piece of metal on the robot that looked vaguely like a hat, thus satisfying the honour of both sides.
Looking for it.
For Gau, though, it was only a temporary reprieve, and once the show actually came out and people saw it for the disaster it was pretty obvious it was headed for one place.
The trash.
Cancellation. I mean, you have to imagine Kevin killed this one with a certain degree of relish, considering how much of a pain in the arse Gau had been for him. What's interesting, though, is that Jessica Gau hasn't produced a single thing in the past 4 years. No movies, no TV shows, not even a web series. She's basically vanished into obscurity, completely blacklisted by the entire industry. And well, I can't help but think that the scales of cosmic justice were nicely balanced by this one. Sometimes, dear viewer, you really do get what you fucking deserve. And for someone idiotic enough to produce She-Hulk and think it was a good idea, well, they deserve unemployment. Anyway, that's all I've got for today. Go away now.
That's when we were, that's back when we were, like, you know, you would watch that, and like we even watched The Acolyte because you were curious of how bad it was going to be, type of thing. That's what She-Hulk became. You know, we hoped it was going to be good, but it wasn't. And there you go, jump on that damn bandwagon. You find out for real. Well, good riddance to She-Hulk. And the actress has Tatiana Maslany, or she messed everything up with Disney anyway, so she won't be back. At least I highly doubt she'll be back. You never know in entertainment. You never know. 10 million subscribers. Woo.